Attention, culture consumers. Join me, the Queen of Queries, Sarah O'Connor, and my band of nerdy knights.
Colleen McMillan.
Flo Siegel.
And Anders Drew.
On Bohemian Geek Studies, where we take extremely dorky dives into our favorite fandoms, especially that Star Wars galaxy far, far away. Listen each week as we examine the stories that mean so much to us. Bohemian Geek Studies is available wherever you get your podcasts and is proudly part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dave.
And join us every Thursday for a new episode of Two Player Bros, a podcast about two guys who play way too many video games. Join me and Dave as we talk about the latest in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and VR news, previews, and reviews. We have it all, and we play it all.
And join us every other week for Post Game, where we play through and dive deep into our favorite modern classics and new releases.
That's Two Player Bros, available every Thursday wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Forgotten Cinema is now looking for a new co-host to join myself, Mike Field, because Mike Butler's a bitch. Croupier Revenge is coming. This is my town. You know,
Which is, I would love to do a James Bond podcast.
I'll do it right now. Cancel the other podcast you do.
You son of a... What about all these women? These are all women, beautiful women. Where are the regular women? And he's like, it's Los Angeles.
Is this the movie that's going to end the show? Is going to end the podcast? Because this movie, like, I cannot tell people to watch this movie. Like, I will not. This movie is not good.
You get the hell off this podcast.
Let's take it to the limit one more time. Hello, I'm Mike Field.
And I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast, Season 9, the Season of Summer. Each episode this season, we're highlighting a film that had a coveted summer release date, but for a variety of reasons was forgotten or straight up ignored by audiences. Whether it was because it was pitted up against a tentpole film, or it was given a limited release run to fill out the studio schedule. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Find us. Our podcast is available on all platforms with a backlog of 100 episodes for your listening pleasure. What's up?
Nothing. Just here, I don't know, doing Conqueror stuff. I was going to have a line, and I didn't really
totally
have a
forgot
line
it?
Prepared. Yeah, it wasn't.
By the Saxai rule, you could have done that.
I could have done. Fuck! Go back!
Or you could have done the corruption of the Darth Vader line.
Ugh, we'll get it. We'll talk about that.
All right, so this is the movies that are released in summer that we believe that have been forgotten. Today we are doing Kull the Conqueror. This is Butler's pick. But before we get into the movie and get into the facts and just get into both of our thoughts, why don't you, Butler, tell everybody, for those who maybe need a refresher, what Kull the Conqueror is about.
A barbarian named Kull unexpectedly becomes king after an old king, whom Kull has just killed in a battle, gives his crown to him. But direct heirs of a killed king, trying to topple Kull and regain the throne, bring an old witch queen, Akivasha, back to life. Their plan backfires, however, as Akivasha is going to allow their lords, demons, to rule the kingdom. The only thing that can stop her now is a breath of the god Volca.
All right, that's what it's about.
Yeah, that's it.
Kull the Conqueror has a runtime of 95 minutes. It's rated PG-13, has a production budget of $30 million. It came out on August 29th, 1997, so just at the tail end of summer. Opening weekend, it did 3.4 million. Domestic and worldwide are the same, so it did 6 million total. Not a hit, Butler. Not a hit. Production company was Raffaella de Laurentiis Productions and Corsala Productions, distributed by Universal Pictures. So it came out on the 29th. It came up against Excess Baggage, Hoodlum with Lawrence Fishburne, She's So Lovely, and in a limited release, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. Not a lot going on at the end of the summer.
No.
The week after, on September 5th, 1997, you had Fire Down Below, the Steven Seagal movie. Steven Seagal, who only does movies with three words in the title.
Under Siege.
It's true. Well, that was a good one. The bad Steven Seagal movies. So the week before, the 22nd of August, you had Mimic, Mr. Funny Shoes, which is not good. No.
I think you've brought that up before. Yeah. I have no idea what Mr. Funny Shoes is.
That's what the kid calls. It's either Mr. Funny Shoes or Mr. Silver Shoes.
Oh, in Mimic. Yeah. That's what he kills called the Big Bug. Yeah. I still like Mimic.
It's too bad.
I have to watch it again. We'll watch it again at some point.
You also had Money Talks, G.I. Jane, Leave It to Beaver, the remake that is basically trying to be like Dennis the Menace, And Masterminds. That is the Patrick Stewart movie.
Masterminds is all right.
Is all right.
I watched it a long time ago and it was on TV. So
Gotcha.
I remember liking it, but it was more like, oh, Patrick Stewart's in a movie.
Yeah, I gotcha. This movie is directed by John Nicolella. I think I said that right. He actually passed away a year after this movie came out, in 98.
Yeah.
He has directed Sunset Heat and the episodes of The Watcher and Mantis. Those are both TV shows. Written by Charles Edwards Pogue, who did Psycho 3, The Fly, Dragonheart, and a movie we did, Butler, I think last season.
2 seasons ago.
Two seasons ago? DOA. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Yep.
This is based on, and pretty much you're going to figure that out if you watch the movie, but this was originally a Conan the Barbarian movie. It was supposed to be the third one, Conan the Conqueror.
Yeah, apparently I didn't know that at first.
So the world, and there's a world/characters credit given to Robert Howard, who wrote Conan the Barbarian and Red Sonja in like stories and
right. And I guess
like
Kull
that.
is actually a character from within that universe.
Well, we'll get to that. Kull, we'll get to all that.
Yeah.
So he was born in 1906. He died in 1936. So this is like, I didn't realize that the Conan story or the Conan the Barbarian, all that stuff was so old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Cinematography by Rodney Charters. He has basically done the TV show 24. He did the movie Sleepwalkers and more recently Going in Style. Composer is Joel Goldsmith, who was the son of Jerry Goldsmith, the famed composer. Joel passed away in 2012. He has done mostly TV, but specifically Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis. He composed much of the music for that. And then he also did the movie Shiloh, actually Shiloh 1 and 2. Edited by Dallas Pewitt, who did American Flyers, Lethal Weapon 4, Deep Blue Sea. My heart is like my heart is a heart. My heart is like a shark's fin. My hat is like a shark's fin. And a movie that Butler loves to bring up all the time, Star Trek Nemesis.
I mean, it's Star Trek. I don't love to bring it up. But.
And then obviously produced by Rafaela De Laurentiis, who's done Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, Prancer, Daylight, Backdraft, and Sky Captain, and The World of Tomorrow. So obviously most of the Conans, and you can obviously see where this was started off as a Conan movie, and Arnold said no, so they went to Kull.
Which is interesting because Arnold's pushing to make a new one now.
Well, when you get older, you reminisce about back then. Kevin Sorbo plays Kull. He is more notably known from the TV show Hercules and Andromeda, and also he did Meet the Spartans. Andromeda is a Gene Roddenberry show, right, Butler?
Correct. It's based on a story by Gene Roddenberry.
Right. Tia Carrera as Akifasha, that's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne's World 1 and 2. True Lies, the TV show Relic Hunter, and she's the voice of Nani and Lilo and Stitch. Thomas Ian Griffith as General Talagaro. He's in Vampires. Yeah,
I didn't even like when I saw that credit. I was like, it doesn't look anything like. Oh my god, I can't believe that's the same guy.
He's also in the Karate Kid Part 3 and the TV show Grimm. I think he's going to be in the new Cobra Kai next season. I'm not sure.
Oh really?
I think. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. You had Lightfoot or Gary Davis. Lightfoot is Gary Davis's rap name, I guess. As I was looking into it, he plays Escalante. He is in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Adaptation, and I don't know if we're allowed to say Indian in the Cupboard anymore, but he's also in that as well.
That's a good movie.
Oh, no way. You like that? I don't like that movie. I do not like Indian in the Cupboard.
Well,
is it inappropriate anymore? Is it appropriate? I was having a conversation with somebody about this, asking if that's still appropriate.
I mean, the title probably not, but I mean, the themes of the movie and like him talking about his culture, I don't think that's wrong.
No, I agree. I don't think it's. When I watched the movie, I didn't like the movie, but I never felt like the movie. But honestly, I don't remember a lot of the movie. So
the movie also came out when I was very young, which it's meant for somebody who's very young.
I almost was going to start looking up his like rap, like
see what? Yeah,
but I saw Lightfoot and I didn't connect. And when he was on screen, I'm like, this guy looks familiar. Like I don't know, why do I know this guy? And then obviously looking into it, I remember now why I know. I don't remember who he plays in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, though. Is he one of the main guys?
Is he?
I didn't look up his.
I don't know either. Hold on, let me look.
You look it up while I keep going.
All right.
So you had Roy Brocksmith as 2. Roy has passed away in 2001. He is you might remember him from the movie Total Recall, where he is yelling at Quaid and he starts sweating and then Quaid shoots him in the head. Yep. That's how I remember from. He's also a TV show Picket Fences and the movie Arachnophobia. I'm going to be honest. I'm sure he's a wonderful man, but like, watching him, like growing up, I never liked him. Like he always was some kind of jerk. He was always some kind of like ass. And I never liked him.
Some people make their careers like that.
No, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Like I'm saying, I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. He was a wonderful man. But when I saw him on screen, was always some kind of jerkweed to somebody, and I was just like, oh, I don't like this guy.
He's not that jerky in this movie, though. He's still kind of like a yes man, kind of like a baby.
He tries to play a little bit for comic relief, but he's not on the good side, I guess. He's not on the right side, I guess. You know what I mean?
He's on whatever side's in power. Lightfoot played Nightwolf, which makes sense.
What's Nightwolf?
Nightwolf is the Native American warrior who teaches Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat Annihilation how to make the dragon.
Which is he in the game?
Oh yeah, starting in Mortal Kombat 3.
Because I don't think I ever played that.
Yeah, he was one of the main guys in that one.
All right, Harvey Fierstein as Juba. Juba. He's in ID4, Mrs. Doubtfire and Death to Smoochie, amongst other things. Karen Lombard as Zaretta. She is in the TV show The 4400, TV show The L Word. She's also in Legends of Fall. I believe she's the woman that Brad Pitt's character marries. And she's in The Firm. She's the one in The Firm that sleeps with, that they take photos of with Tom Cruise and then gets him in trouble with his wife. I don't know if you know that. Just throw that out there. Edward Tudor Pole as Inaros, who I kept thinking was the doctor. I kept thinking was, what's his face, who played the last doctor, the older doctor.
You kept thinking he was Peter Capaldi?
Yes. He's in Sid and Nancy, Les Miserables from 98, and then Quills. Douglas Henshaw as Ducklin. He's in Angels and Insects, and more notably, he's on the BBC TV show Shetland. And then I have a note in here from Pat Roach, who is Zolke, because he's from what movie?
I had to know.
Wow.
No, just say it.
It's like, no, you, I don't want to sit here and wait. Oh, wait. It's like one of the most famous scenes in this movie.
He's in Indiana Jones. He's the...
That's not the name of the movie.
Temple of Doom.
No,
Raiders. I'm sorry.
God.
He's the giant guy.
Yeah, he's the guy that gets... No, he's the one that gets the blade. Yeah.
Which he's also in Temple of Doom. And he's also in Last Crusade.
Yeah, he's
technically in all of them.
Yeah, that's true. In
Last Crusade, he's the no-ticket guy.
Yes.
And then in Temple of Doom, he's
the guy that gets hit with the hammer, with the brick or something.
The brick gets hit in his head.
Yeah. Roach passed away in 2004, actually, which I did not know.
I did not know that either.
Yeah, kind of.
He was also in Conan and Red Sonja, so he's been in all of the Conan.
Is it Sonja? It's not Sanya? Is it Sonja with a J?
I've always pronounced it Sonja.
I don't know.
I've never seen the movie, so I don't know how to pronounce it.
So, but you picked this movie because you said that this, I mean, obviously, we say that it's a summer film, forgotten. We give the reason in the beginning.
Right. So
I'm curious, because I don't know how many times you've watched this.
So I when it came out, obviously, when I was growing up, I was a huge fan of Hercules, The Legendary Journey.
Sure.
So it's a movie with Kevin Sorbo. So obviously going to watch it. It's like Conan. It's, a big action movie. So me and my dad, we rented it and we watched it with the family. It was a fun action film. And I remember when I was watching it when I was younger, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Right.
It's fun. It's lighthearted. It's quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd probably watched it like on HBO or Cinemax like a year or two after that when it was still kind of popular.
Okay,
I mean, obviously it was never popular, but when it was still kind of on.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. And then I forgot about it. I forgot all about it until you mentioned, well, this is 10 weeks in the future when this comes out. And then 10 weeks before, it was probably December or November when you mentioned that your buddy Adrian liked it.
No, I don't know if he likes Kull. I think he likes Krull.
Oh, and you mispronounced. Okay.
Yes.
But either way, it sparked it and came back into my head.
Sure.
And I was like, I forgot about this movie. So when we were doing Forgotten Summer movies, it's like,
well, we had picked a bunch of movies
we
grabbed the movies that were summer releases.
Yes. And I wanted to go back and look at this movie because there was going to be two things that happened. You were going to hate it, and it was going to be an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to hate it, and it would still be kind of interesting. So it's always interesting to go back on a movie that you used to like and you find things wrong with it.
Sure.
Or we were both going to come out of it saying, it's dumb, it's fun, and, there are stuff that's good and stuff that's bad about it. But it's definitely a movie that can no longer exist. No one would make this movie anymore. And I think in 1997, this was already kind of way out of vogue.
You mean like a Conan style movie?
Not even just a Conan style movie, although it would be hard to do. Like even the Jason Momoa one that came out failed.
Right.
I think it's be tough to do a movie like this now in that kind of universe. But even so, just the way this is done, that it's done purposely campy, almost Army of Darkness style.
Okay.
And I think a movie like this is really tough to do unless you put it on Stars or HBO or do like an Ash vs. the Evil Dead where you really ham it up and you make a series out of it.
So you've given 3 things how you thought that this podcast would go.
Right.
What do you think how this podcast is going to go?
I assume that you don't like it.
This is awful.
Yeah.
This movie is terrible. And I really hope you didn't have some kind of respect for it. Butler. I'm watching this movie and all I'm thinking to myself is is this the movie that's going to end the show? Is going to end the podcast? Because this movie, like I cannot tell people to watch this movie. Like I will not, this movie is not good. And we will go through why it is not good. This movie is awful. Like just, I'm sorry, but anyways, before we get into all that, we teased it a little bit. I want to get into the Conan stuff.
Okay.
With the writer. So this was going to be Conan the Conqueror. This is based on a Conan story, I believe, or it was going to be. Yeah. But Arnold said no. He said he didn't want to do it anymore. And so they went back and rewrote it. They used the Kull character because, as you were mentioning, the Kull character was, so Robert Howard, who created the Conan the Barbarian and all that stuff, he wrote, the story was called By This Axe I Rule. That was the name of the story. And Kull was a short story, and Kull was the lead. And he sent it to Weird Tales magazine and they said they rejected it. They said no. So then he took it, he wrote it, and it became the Phoenix on the Sword, or In the Sword, or whatever, or maybe the Phoenix on the Sword. And then he sold that, and that was the very first Conan story.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting that a character that they have brought back, ironically, to just replace Conan, was actually going to be the original Conan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then got replaced.
Well, I thought that was very interesting, and I guess Akavasha is a minor character from the novel The Hour of the Dragon. So there's some stuff from Howard's
universe.
Yeah. Which is always interesting. I've never really watched the Conan movies straight through. I've never watched, I think Red Sonja had a movie, right?
She did. I have never seen. I've seen the other two, but
I've only seen parts of them. I'm not a big fantasy guy too much. I mean, I saw Lord of the Rings and stuff like that,
right.
But I don't know. We always talk about how there's level of geekdom. There's levels of how you can go. So that's probably at the edge of my level. It's never really something that really has interested me. That doesn't mean I won't watch it, but I just never sat down and said like, hey, let's watch Conan the Barbarian. I've never watched it straight through. So I don't have that kind of background to go off of with this conversation. I can only judge Kull as Kull. If you were watching this and you were kind of like watching it with Kull and be like, oh, this reminds you of the Conan movies, I can understand that a little bit, kind of like reminiscing back to like those films. Cause I know those films are generally regarded as good camp, good fun.
Right.
But if you're going to sit here and tell me that this movie is just as good as when you watched it when you were 12, I'm doing quick math, 13.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah, this movie's terrible. Terrible.
I enjoyed it for a much different reason than I did when I was
good.
10. This movie came out in 97, so I was like 10 years old.
All right. Okay.
So I enjoyed this movie for all the wrong reasons this time, for the most part.
My biggest note on this film, and we can get into it. My biggest note on this film is that it feels like I'm watching the season 3 premiere of a show.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It feels like I've come in and there's been a bunch of stuff, like the opening. I'm like, is this an audition? Are we like fighting? Are we not fighting each other? We're just stopping. And then you're like,
the opening fight scene made no sense.
What is this?
But they're all kind of fighting in the background.
So what's going on is here, like we open up on this big fight and Kull's fighting a bunch of people, and the Talagaro character, I think I'm saying his name right. Let me get Talgaro. Hang on. Taligaro. I'm going to say Talagaro.
Whatever.
He is like watching, and then he gets off, and everyone stops fighting because nobody's dead. Apparently, we're not really fighting.
Play fighting.
It's like some big Ren fair, or some big like meetup that we've all gone to, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna play fight and cool. It's really cool." And he's like, "Oh, you fight with an." He makes fun of his axe. Who cares? And he's like, "You got to fight with a warrior's blade, which is basically lit on fire or something like that."
I think he just means the sword is the warrior's, the sword of a nobleman. But.
And then they fight blindfolded, and then that's it. And then like they say, so hey, heads up, the king's killing all his kids. Kull makes a joke about everyone dying. Yeah. Oh, blood, all the royal blood all over the ground. Then Kull shows up 5 minutes later, like being the savior. You just made fun about this whole thing. Please explain to me what about any of that makes sense.
The fighting doesn't make sense. It's just there to distract you and realize, oh wait, he's just training or practicing. It's super stupid.
Right.
But I think his whole line about blood of royals being spilled is just kind of to get back at Talagaro for making fun of Conan for having
Kull, you mean?
What did I call him?
You called him Conan.
To make fun of Kull for having barbarians' blood, because I guess Atlantis is a place of barbarians. which is totally
who the hell
unlike
knows?
anything. Yeah.
Who the hell? He's like, I'm from Atlantis, and all I'm thinking like Aquaman, like underwater.
I guess that you'd have to know about Conan lore to know that.
I'd have to watch the first
Atlantis
two seasons of this show. Apparently,
exactly. So
previously on Kull,
I think he still goes because he still wants to make a name for himself, to prove himself. So hey, there's going to be a fight. Let me just go and show that I can do something, that I'm worthy.
I think Kull's dumb. Like, I think he's straight up dumb. Like, so he goes and he kills the king and then he becomes king. It is so obvious that the three people that are conspiring against him, and like, it's clear. And right in front
they need
of
to
him,
be executed.
and he's so dumb. He's just like, oh, well. And it's like,
guess I'll wait for them to make a move.
I mean, give me a break.
Well, he only knows the two people that are conspiring against him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know about the little priest guy.
He tells the priest guy to stop, and immediately the guy's like, all right, I'm killing you. Like no qualms.
I forgot about that guy who looks like he's a singer, like a guitarist in Queen.
Yeah, like
with his hair.
No, you can't cut him down. That's it, I'm killing you. Like, no qualms. Like
I can't whip no more?
Yeah.
Screw this king.
I don't get any of that stuff.
My whole job is whipping. You took away my job.
And just to kind of go off on the fact that they're dumb. Like, they're dumb, and even the conspirators are dumb. Like, Kull's dumb and the conspirators dumb because they summon Akivasha. They summon Akivasha from hell.
And they're surprised that she's going to betray him.
Exactly, and they're shocked that she's just like going to do whatever she wants to do.
I'm going to bring hell on earth. Wait, what? This wasn't the deal.
That's not. Yeah, that's
you
not
were
the
just
deal.
supposed to let us be king.
Demon seed. How dare you? How dare you go against everything we agreed upon? What did they have, a spit handshake?
Your plan was what? This fire has been burning for 3,000 years.
Yeah.
You knew this whole place was hell, but no, we resurrected her. She's going to be all right.
So they have this like flame that is supposed to remind them of godless times. Yeah, that's the first thing. The movie starts off and I'm like at a history lesson and I don't know what's happening.
I thought the history lesson was fine.
And so
just real quick.
The flame is like of godless times, but now we're going to extinguish the flame, so we'll forget about godless times.
Well, I mean, extinguishing the flame seemed like the smart idea to begin with. Don't give her a chance to come back with this fire.
What did I get? But like, it seemed like the flame was lit as like a good thing. Like let's.
Oh yeah, that's a reminder.
But now it's gone away, so we're gonna go back to godless times. Is that the deal?
At least you don't have a way to summon the demon. Maybe it'll just be harder to summon the demon.
It's just. Well, I'll talk about Tia Carrere and the demon. So. The whole idea is that she comes in, she marries Kull, and then she's going to kill Kull, which she does, I guess, but doesn't. She lies.
Right.
And her whole reasoning for lying is she's like, I was going to kill you, but after last night, I want you to rule by my side. So let me get this straight. The plot point for him to stay alive is you had sex. And because it was so good, it's like, no, you know what? Let's hook up together.
See, now that is
dumb.
Oh, it's super dumb, but it's classic Conan the Barbarian kind of stuff.
Okay.
Oh, you're such a good lover, Kull, because it's such like an overly macho thing, which is why you can't make these. You would really have to change part of the central aspect of Conan, which is why it can never be made again. It's such macho bullshit storyline of, oh my God, your junk was so good, Kull. I have to make you my king. I can't kill you. It's so classic 20s or 10s, like kind of macho crap. So I thought that was hilarious. I really dumb, but really funny.
I thought they were going a different route though, because they did the whole thing where like Tia Carrere is the bad person, the bad woman.
Right.
I was gonna say bad guy, but she's the baddie, and Zaretta so you can only fight her with another female. So that's why Zaretta gets the breath of Vulcan. I was like, oh, okay. So they're going, it takes a female. Oh, I get it. That's great. And then like it suddenly like changes at the end, and she gives it to Kull. I can't do it. What? And then like Kull has to kiss that creature
because it has to be sealed with a kiss.
Give me a break. Oh my God. So stupid. Oh God, it's so dumb.
This is going exactly how
everyone's going exactly the plan, because when I'll tell you how it's going to go exactly the plan, when they go like, what's next week? I'm going to be like, nothing. This podcast is over.
You didn't think it was at least a little fun to watch this movie about how bad it was? Like sometimes like you have to watch a terrible movie.
All I kept thinking, and I'm probably never going to meet Kevin Sorbo, so I don't care. But all I kept thinking was, he's not good. He is just like not. At one point, he drops a minor joke in here. 3,000 years old. You told me she was 19. Really? I'm supposed to laugh at that crappy joke? Like somebody thought that was good to the point where like I'm wondering when they're composing this movie, is like Pantera just there? And as soon as the movie comes on, they're just like, like that's the whole thing. It's like I'm watching a concert.
I started laughing as soon as the rock music started because I was like, the score is actually not bad until the rock music comes on, and it's like, what is this? Like, I think my first note is the rock music is so jarring at the start that I couldn't help but burst out laughing. That's my very first note.
So it was like the director was Nicolella sitting there, and Goldsmith comes in. And he's like, "Oh, here's all my composed," and he's like, "Oh, that's great. We're not using that. I've got a mixtape of all these '80s rocks that I've been listening to. That's what we're putting in here."
The director's actually got his guitar plugged into the amp, and he's like, "All right, Kevin, raise your ass."
Or Goldsmith shows up to the session to compose the music, and he notices that none of his orchestral people are there. It's like a band, and he's like, "What's going on here?" "You'll see. Turn it up." God, like this is a movie, Butler, that I can't. Like if somebody said to me, "I got to stop listening to your podcast because you recommend a Kull," like I'm not recommending Kull.
We're not recommending Kull.
No, I'm not. I want you to know that I do not stand by this movie. For like if this episode gets like one view, that's fine with me.
The whole thing about Forgotten Cinema is perhaps we don't recommend it, but
you purposely picked this movie knowing it was crap.
I purposely picked this movie knowing that it was campy and that I remember liking it when I was little, and I knew you would hate it, and that would make for an interesting episode.
Because
and
it's a bad movie.
Right. But it's not a movie where I'm mad that you don't like it, so we're having fun making fun of this movie.
Well, here's the thing. I think you need to take center stage on this, and I think you need to discuss how this movie takes a great line in Empire Strikes Back and completely butchers it and uses it as if like we're supposed to be like, "Oh, thanks, Kull. Thanks for reminding us how great that film is."
Oh, no, there's absolutely no.
Tell them about the line.
So at one point,
it's
the
Telegaro
talks about how I can't believe you're gonna bring back the demon spawns. I can't believe you're gonna make hell on earth. I can't believe you want Kull to be your husband. I'm supposed to have the crown. So she says, word for word, "I have altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it further." She just completely like as if no one who watches Kull is gonna know that line's from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Awful.
I didn't notice it when I was younger, or maybe I didn't care.
Yeah.
But watching it now, it's just like, and I know the screenwriter was mad that they kind of altered his thing.
Yeah.
I hope he didn't write this in there, because otherwise, shame on you, sir. Like they like them altering it clearly wasn't the worst thing that could have happened.
Well, then, yeah.
How can you just rip off a line from like one of the most famous lines from one of the most famous movies of all time?
Yeah.
And think that that's okay.
I have the note here that Pogue, the writer, was displeased with the film, but he felt that the script was ruined by studio interference, whatever that interference was. We don't know. I mean, whatever. Maybe we're guessing that it was adding this line. You know what would be really great? I was just watching this movie. I don't know if you heard of it. Empire Strikes Back. Put this line in there.
I wonder if it was studio interference was more camping it up. Maybe we have Kevin Sorbo. Let's make it more like Hercules. Well, but they didn't make it enough like Hercules.
This was after Hercules. This is during Hercules.
This, I think, is the same year Hercules ended.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, Hercules ended in 97.
Didn't they redo this movie? Didn't they remake this movie a couple years ago? Isn't there another movie that we have a conqueror?
There was the Conan.
Was it Conan?
It was Conan the Barbarian with Jason Momoa.
Okay.
And that was actually, that's 10 years old already.
Really? Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm old. I can remember that poster being up.
Yeah, but that's also not very good.
Is it as bad as this?
No, but you've got to. I think that the world of Conan is interesting because I'm not a big fantasy guy either, but I like that the world of Conan is more dark and like a twisted version of like the universes you would see in like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. And it takes place basically old Sumerian times. Like it's set at a time that's really a lot further than most movies.
Right.
But it's not a storyline that works I don't even think it works in the 90s or 2000s. And if not for Arnold, I don't know if it would have worked back then.
Well, that was his big vehicle.
Right.
Yeah, but again, you compare this to in terms of like the camp they were trying to go for, like Army of Darkness, but like you don't have a person like Bruce. Like Kevin Sorbo was not Bruce Campbell. Like Bruce Campbell brings a lot of that to it.
The thing about Kevin Sorbo is he plays a very good Hercules. He plays a very good stalwart, Superman type. I'm going to do this. And he's great as Hercules. But the thing about Superman and Hercules and stuff like that is they aren't the most interesting characters in terms of their personality. And a movie like this does need a Bruce Campbell type character or an Arnold character really laughing and really barbarian it up.
But Arnold's also huge. Like Arnold is like, he makes Kevin Sorbo look like me, like weak.
Oh,
like,
that's,
you know what I mean?
another thing is there's only one other person who could play Conan, and it's not Jason Momoa.
It'd be
like
the Rock
Dwayne
Johnson. Yeah.
You need someone,
or like David, like one of those big wrestlers.
Yeah. Or the guy
Or
who plays the
Bautista.
Mountain, if the Mountain
If you could
spoke English a
if you
little
could
bit
do
better.
that,
But
yeah.
that's the whole thing with Arnold is they cut out a lot of his dialogue
Yeah.
because he didn't know English. That's why he wants to do the new one where Conan is older and dying and wants to do his thing.
Yeah, it's great, but it's gonna be like find the stunt guy. It's gonna be like every time they fight, you're gonna be like, that's not him. That's
Yeah.
not him. That's not him. And that's just, who wants that? I mean, I get it. It's fun to do. It's fun to see it again, but I'd have to go back and watch the other two Conans, like just to watch the third one.
I haven't watched it since I was little and only once.
I don't even know if you can find it. Can you even find them somewhere? Are they
Oh, they're
available?
Arnold. They've got to be somewhere.
Yeah,
Field, listen, I know you love talking,
I do.
but you
I
got to
do.
shut up for a second.
I will.
And let's play some of our pre-recorded sponsors.
Pre-recorded.
All right.
Do you experience digital eye strain from too much blue light exposure from digital screens? Baxter Blue glasses are not your average frames. These blue light lenses filter 80% of the highest energy blue light, eliminating 99% of the glare. The past year, we have all been glued to our devices more than ever. All I do is look at devices. It's pretty much the job description right now. Our exposure to digital light has soared, and our eyes and our sleep are suffering as a result. Baxter Blue is also a force for good and provides a pair of reading glasses for someone in need for every pair sold. This is eyewear built for our digital age, and Baxter Blue is giving our listeners 10% off your next purchase of blue light, sleep, or kids' glasses. Click the link in our show notes for your exclusive discount. This is the sign you have been waiting for to invest in blue light glasses. We know you will love your Baxters, and we know that you will feel the difference. So why was the ugly brother of Station in this movie?
I thought the same thing.
So
I have
the
no
wizard,
idea.
The wizard that does no wizarding except at the end when he has the staff come to him and he throws the snake.
Well, he brings Akivasha back to life.
The wizard that Akivasha heals him clearly just so we can have the running gag of him getting scarred again throughout the entire movie back, whatever.
Right.
Has this like creature with him that looks like the Station character from Bill and Ted, but just uglier and not as nice.
Yeah. It's just, it doesn't make any sense when you present this world that has no other creatures in it.
Yeah.
Other than obviously the demon when she fully transforms.
True.
And all of a sudden you have this gnome orc Station character.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
Other than maybe be there for kids to watch like a gross goofy guy and be like, oh, I want that action figure. Like it just makes no sense at all.
So not
Which
I don't want to just go ahead.
to the point of we're talking about the wizard guy and like, so he brings Akivasha back to life now that Kull's the king.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he have brought Akivasha back to life at any fucking point, any point at all?
I don't know.
And he just chooses now to bring her back. Like you could have just taken that little vial and brought her back at any time. She's super powerful.
But I don't even know why he was in exile. I don't even know why he was like sent away there.
Oh, because he couldn't worship that god anymore. And then Kull said, worship what gods you want. But he's always been in that tower locked away because he's kind of, thrown out of the thing for worshiping a god he shouldn't be worshiping.
And like, okay, I don't know. Like, I don't want to just purposely. Well, no, I don't care. But like, I want to try to let's give the movie a benefit of the doubt. So they try to set up this true love situation with Zaretta and Kull,
Right.
That they're meant to be together, even though because they kind of have a back and forth in the beginning, and he does that thing where he throws her on the bed, and I don't want to be with a woman that doesn't want me, or some crap like that, and she leaves, and whatever
Well, Kull's been a slave, so
he tries to free the slave in the beginning, and Brocksmith the 2 says no, and he's like, all right, and he just gives up.
So he finds out he has a harem, but then when he finds out, shockingly, they don't want to have sex, so they're just slaves that are going to. Which you didn't think of that before, Kull? Then he realizes they're all slaves and doesn't like that because he was a slave.
Yes.
I do like that he has that background, and I like that he's more noble because of that.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, so they try to set up this true love thing with him and Zaretta, and they get on a boat because they go to Juba, who's Harvey Fierstein's character. And I don't know their relationship. Apparently they're together. They were pirates. And then whatever.
Well, I got that Juba was his fence.
Yeah,
Juba
and
was profiting off whatever the pirates
he
brought
stupidly doesn't trust him, but then he gets drugged. So he stupidly gets drugged, and then they fight and they take over the boat. The next scene, it's like they're having sex. They've set up this whole thing about like that's the one he's supposed to be with, and they just do the payoff midway through the movie, and it makes no sense. And there's no setup. There's no conversation between the two of them in terms of revealing their true feelings. It's just like they're having sex, and it's like, what the hell is this?
He just took the boat, but we need a transition from the boat to getting to the Isle of Ice.
Yeah.
Well, what if they just are banging and then he sees Akivasha while he's banging?
Yeah, it's so stupid. Yeah, it's just they can't even do that right. They can't even do it. They can't even get that done correctly. And then there's that when he tries to get Harvey Fierstein out of the boat, and he's like, "Oh, Carl, I hate the smell of fish." Is that a gay joke?
Oh yeah, that's a gay joke.
Ridiculous.
Not liking the
It's not
smell
even
of,
funny.
vagina.
I mean, I like Harvey Fierstein, but that joke is not even funny.
That's probably a Harvey Fierstein.
I like him in ID4 better.
He's great in ID4.
Yeah,
That's Elise was watching. Oh, he's
I like Harvey Fierstein.
He's in that's Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm like, Mrs. Doubtfire. No, that's Independence Day. He's great. His lines in Independence Day are clearly all ad
Mrs.
lib.
Doubtfire is good too. But like, I wonder if like someone's like, "Oh, Harvey, say this," and he was probably like, "All right."
I think he probably made up his lines.
Cut the check. But yeah, it just nothing works. This movie for me, nothing works for me. I don't like anything. There's nothing in this movie that I like at all. Maybe like I love the fact that he's fighting them at the end. They're all having that huge fight in the ice thing with all the stalactites and stalagmite. And like at some point during the fight, Kull turns and just chops the stalagmite in half for no reason. It's not his way. He's fighting. He just turns around and slices it in half, and then he goes back to fighting. It's like, what was that for?
To show you that these stalactites get crushed.
It's a stalagmite he hit, Butler. Stalagmites are come from the ground.
Tights come from the
There's something you can learn from this episode today is the difference between stalactites and stalagmites.
Welcome to the geology cast.
There's not, honestly, I can't think of anything in this movie that I like at all.
I like the one thing I still think is cool is when Akivasha goes full demon. I appreciate that it's not like some awful CG creature because they could have gone awful CG.
Oh, the effect?
I like that effect, and I like how gross
it was. Gross.
They make that creature.
But they kind of cheat away from him kissing the creature because they never really. You just cut to him locking lips already with the creature. You don't actually see him going
into it
to the kiss. So
Kevin, this costs a lot of money. You can't grab.
Yeah.
Go slowly. All right, and connect. All right, now go.
We can't afford to get any closer.
But I do think it's cool, and it looks really gross. And that's, I think, one of the things I remembered most coming into this film was the scene where he kisses it, and its gnarly head coming out with the jaws coming down in the slime. I thought that was always really, really cool.
I'll give you that. That's fine.
It's got a little bit of cheese, but it's still like you got to respect that. Like it looks cool, even though it's a little cheesy.
You're a big fan of the camel fart and piss joke? Is that a good joke you like?
No,
too? Yeah,
oh my god, no.
Right?
What smells? It's me.
Yeah, they did that like 3 times.
Yeah, I get it. It pooped.
Yeah,
That's like the scene in Phantom Menace where the thing farts and then Jar Jar goes, "Oh, it smells stinkery."
So you're gonna bring up another thing I hate?
Yeah.
That's great. That's good.
The one thing I noticed in this movie that has always kind of bothered me, but I think bothers me more that I'm a little grown up, is that in all these medieval type movies, whenever there's sand on the ground, someone always kicks down a candelabra and creates a ring of fire on sand. And sand doesn't work like that. Sand isn't flammable.
Well, I think what they're saying what you're talking about when they're escaping.
Yeah.
In those things is oil. I think that's what they're saying. Is the oil. I get you. Well, let's talk about.
There's always more oil than there ever actually is in that stuff.
I'm glad you brought up the fire. How about when Kull is coming back to save the day and he's on the ship and she looks out, right? And she's like, "Sacred flame, protect us!" And this giant flame comes down and he just swings over it. Like, so much for that sacred flame. Oh, that was really terrible.
He had to take off his jacket.
Oh God, he's like, "Oh God, sacred flame, hang on, let me get this rope and I'm done." It's like, what the hell was that for?
Speaking of fire, when they're fighting in the beginning scene with Telegaro, Kull hits him in the back with his flaming sword, and his back is absolutely on fire for way too long. And they clearly have to cut to Kevin Sorbo. They cut back to him, and he's doused. But clearly there was a stunt gone wrong there, and they were like, he's still going."
So stupid. I love when they're on the boat and they're going towards they're in the ice and it keeps hitting the ice and he's like, steer away. It's like you're jamming in the middle of ice. Steer away from what, man? What are you talking about? And then like to the same point, 2 things. So they go to get Valka or Valky, whatever his name is, Valka, yeah. And she's like, Zaretta realizes that she has to go and ask, it has to be her who gets the Valka's thing.
Right.
Okay, fine. of course she's got to get naked. Of course. And like, I'm wondering if like, that they shot that and they were like, listen, you want the R rating of a PG-13 rating? We got to cut out the nudity. That there was nudity in this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They should have gone rated R with this.
I don't need to see that. It would have just been more gratuitous.
Yeah, but I think that's part
You
of...
think it would have made more money?
I think it would have made more money. I think that's part of the Conan thing. That's why it won't work now. But I think that's why it needed to be in there then.
But so then later on, they're trapped there for some unknown reason. I don't know why, but he's trapped there.
Telegaro makes a cave in.
Okay, so then he starts chopping the head because he's mad. And then he notices that the water starts falling down. And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? You were just chopping at the head because you were mad. Why are you apologizing now? And then he hits it. Water comes out. And we cut to him being... He's
magically out of that thing.
Well, no reason why. No how it happens. It happens.
They probably didn't have the money to have an underwater tank scene. They were like,
they have $30 million, man. They clearly could have. They weren't paying Kevin Sorbo a lot of money.
I'm sure they weren't.
He's the only name. I mean, Tia Carrere. This is
right after True Lies. True Lies is what?
She's probably getting paid a lot for this. Yeah, because it's Wayne's World, True Lies. So yeah, I want to say Lilo and Stitch is either right after this or before, but no. She's probably getting some money, but that's it. No one else got any money in this movie.
Yeah. But the sets have to have cost a lot too. And all the people and stuff.
Well, let me ask you this about Kevin Sorbo. Not that I don't want to keep jumping upon, the theme that he's terrible. I've never watched Andromeda. So
Gotcha.
if Hercules if he's very similar in this movie to Hercules, can you say the same for Andromeda, or how is he like in Andromeda?
He's good in Andromeda. Again, that's the kind of character he's good at. In Andromeda's basically, there's the Federation essentially.
Gotcha.
And they are making a bunch of choices that a lot of alien species don't agree with, especially one, essentially the Vulcans, but more like a warlike Vulcan species.
So it's not in Star Trek universe.
It's not in the Star Trek universe, but it's similar. And this alien guy is like, well, to save the galaxy, to save the Federation, we have to start a civil war. Destroys the Andromeda. Andromeda wakes up like 400 years in the future. There is no more Federation. And his whole task is using his ship, which is super advanced because they're in a shitty time, like the Dark Ages now, and rebuilding the Federation.
Okay.
So he's this stalwart kind of, I have a task to do, I have to do what's right kind of character again.
Okay.
So he's very not super no nonsense, but pretty no nonsense. I have to do the right thing, which is similar to kind of like Hercules.
Gotcha.
And the other characters are the ones that make jokes.
Okay.
That's where he kind of shines, is like, again, that kind of
stick in the mud.
Yeah, that kind of guy. So yeah, making him do these jokes of, oh shit. And he's doing all those jokes, especially when he's in the mask. Just like, I feel like that's probably added after the fact. Like, there's no dialogue. We need to put some dialogue in here.
Oh yeah. I love that. Like, he's the king. He's still the king. He reveals himself as the king and like nobody cares.
Well, they stop for a second and then he beats up Telegaro, and now they're like,
this whole kingdom is ridiculous. So why would you? I mean, like, these people are just at the whim of whoever tells them to do anything. There's no loyalty. There's no loyalty. And I mean, I get how symbolic it is at the end where Kull destroys the laws, but now all the laws. You literally just destroyed the laws, Kull. So now there's nothing going on, and now you have to sit there and redo them. It's like, it's so, and you're always gonna be like, forget this. I gotta go do something. I'm gonna go on vacation. You figure it out, everyone. Like, he's dead in a week. Someone's gonna kill him. Oh, this movie's not good, Butler. Ugh. So, I mean, I don't want to. I'm gonna tell you why it's forgotten. So we always ask about why a movie's forgotten, unless you have more notes.
I have that when he kisses Akivasha and she starts to die because of all the cold in his breath. I was like, this is an advertisement for 5 Gum. Why isn't this part of like a commercial that they did?
So I know we always ask, hey, why is this movie forgotten? I'm going to tell you why it's forgotten. It's not good. That's why it's forgotten. Don't watch this movie. Don't watch this movie.
Have one more note. When she's transforming into the big demon puppet, at one point she turns around and she's a different looking demon. I'm pretty sure the demon that she turns around into when her face is changing is the creature from the Twilight Zone movie.
Why? They think they just used an effect?
I think they just used an effect and went, we need her mid-transformation. What do we got? Well, we got this puppet left in Universal. Because it's Universal.
That? Oh my God.
So I think they just used the same puppet. I'm like, that's the gremlin on the side of the airplane from the Twilight Zone movie.
How lame is that? Oh, so lame.
But yes, I agree. I think that's why this movie's forgotten. It's a relic. It's corny. They don't know what they were doing with it. It's half Kull, it's half Hercules, and it's not. Would you have liked this if it was more Army of Darkness?
I don't think. See, I don't think Kevin Sorbo can do that. Like if it's a different lead, maybe. Like I don't think he's got the charisma to do that type of comedy or to do that type of cheeseball stuff.
What if they made him a little even more serious and gave him a partner who was funny?
Maybe,
do
but
that.
But there really needs to be like the script is not good, and Poe maybe has a point here where like they screwed it up so much that everything that he
was a bastardized
right.
version
So
of that.
I mean, like you can't lay it at his feet because you don't know what they're working off of. So
right,
like stuff happened. Like I said, the biggest thing I said is like this feels like a season 3 premiere. There's stuff that they talk about, they reference that goes on that I'm supposed to know about, but it's clearly off screen and before the events of all this. So I'm immediately behind the 8 ball in terms of trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Right.
And then the stuff that's within the story makes no sense. Like, the fact that the characters just are all dumb. Like they don't realize that he doesn't realize that those guys are going to go against him. He's too stupid to figure that out. They're too stupid to figure out the demon seed they brought from hell is really going to do whatever she wants and not do what they want. Like it's like conveniently dumb so that the plot can keep going. And that's stupid.
Right.
And that's so insulting as a viewer and as an audience member, because you're just like, well, if you're not going to care about what the story you're telling, why should I care about this story? Like I always say that. Like
right.
If they were like, listen, we were purposely making this movie, like we wanted to make it so bad it's good. Now, while I don't think that that's how you should make a movie, like that's not how you should do it.
Right.
But if you had that goal, fine. That is fine. That's your goal. Okay. But there's nothing. It's like sign the check at some point. Like that's what it is. It's like, what am I doing? How long am I going? Okay, that's fine. I'll do this movie because I got another movie after to do. That's fine. Like this.
Right.
No, this movie is just no. It's a big no for me. No. And like this almost could be a lost, forgotten cinema episode where like if we release it and then I just take it down and we never hear from it again. Like I am embarrassed that I have to do social post promos for this movie in 10 weeks. Like, that's how embarrassed I am about this movie.
I think this is a good episode, though. I think it was fun to talk about it.
I'm sure it is. I'm glad that you have used this time, used this podcast. We've generated an audience and generating a trust with our listeners, people that we don't know that listen to us every Wednesday. Don't cut me off. And I'm glad that you have taken that trust and basically flushed it down the toilet because you want to just do something that's entertaining to you when we're talking about it.
It's entertaining to people listening, probably.
I hope so. You know what?
The thing is, our podcast is sometimes we recommend it or sometimes we don't. And we always recommend it. We always do.
No,
or every once in a while, you won't recommend something or I won't recommend something. We'll be mad at each other that one of us didn't like it. But this is a movie that I forgot about. That
you really going to watch this again? You're really going to, at some point in your life, going to go back to this movie?
No, because I have now watched it as an adult and I'm good. But if other people are my age and watched it when they were young and were like, if they want to go back and watch it and just see like this, like a movie that not only is it bad, but even the type of movie that it is will never be made again for various reasons of plot tropes that just aren't really couth anymore, I guess. And the way they make movies and stylistically. I think you can do. I know what you're talking about, the misogynistic style of movie making that's going on here. That's prevalent throughout history. And I got news for you. It's still going to keep going. It's not going to go away. It's not going to go away to the point where you reference it in the movie and realize how stupid it is. Right. Like if you reference in this movie, if you make Kull this misogynistic barbarian who treats women like crap and all that stuff, but in the movie you have female characters that are taking him to task for that and showing the audience that he is stupid and he is wrong for this belief, and then you change and you turn him into somebody who's more positive. That's where you will see it. You know what I mean? Like I just watched a movie that Coming to America, the sequel, is basically that's the arc of Eddie Murphy's character, where he's behaving just like his father in terms of like in their country, women can't own a business or women can't rule, like that kind of thing. Like he has to learn that. Yeah. I know. But I will say that I actually liked the movie. It's pretty funny. Yeah. It's got some funny stuff. But that's his arc. He is forgotten where he has forgotten the lessons that he learned or that when he was in America,
that he believed he was younger. So that's something that you use and you show that. So that's where it's going to be. I don't think those will ever leave. But then again, like you have a movie like a movie like Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen. Like that movie's like off the wall. And you'll still see those types of films. That's why I equate like Conan and stuff like that. Not so much the misogynistic tones, but the action and the violence and the over-the-topness of stuff.
Well, I'm talking more specifically a film like Conan.
Gotcha.
I don't think
like a fantasy film,
like a fantasy overly machismo. Like obviously films like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Those will still go on. But I don't think you'll get something like Conan. Like maybe if Arnold is able to get his thing going and he's really able to kind of change the tone and what you would think of like a barbarian epic kind of like this.
See, I think it's also, I understand what you're saying.
Right.
I think it's all cyclical. I think if you have a filmmaker who maybe is not making films right now, who's just starting out and wants to make a film like that, who loves Army of Darkness, loves the Conan movies, wants to do a movie like that style, and they'll do it. Like those movies will still be made. It's going to take one of those movies that people are like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty good. That's going to be like, because newsflash, Hollywood doesn't have an original thought half the time. And they're going to be like, oh, that movie did well. Get them going. Let's go. Get these scripts. Let's go. Let's move. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't think they'll fully disappear. I think that it's going to take one to do well. And, like, could you see it like it's like flash forward? Because we're in the world of streaming and we're in the world of apps. Right. And we've just started. It's going to get far worse and far more. And I guess, maybe not worse, but it's going to get a lot more.
Yeah.
Can't you see a channel that's dedicated to just this type of movies, and they're just going to be cranking out low budget, $1 million, $500,000 budgeted movies that are like this? You can't see that, and just maybe can't see that happening.
I know there's a big pool of people that like. I'm kind of like you, where like fantasy is not really my thing.
Right.
I do like Lord of the Rings, and I talked about before. I love anything King Arthur, but I just don't know that there's a lot of. And maybe it's just because people aren't producing it. There's not a big market for fantasy things on TV or on
not like the 90s,
not like the 90s and stuff,
and stuff like that. Yeah,
we got Game of Thrones, but that's entirely different, and Lord of the Rings, but it's tough to replicate that. Even HBO had to cancel their Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones spinoff.
Do you think that fantasy movies need to be epics? Because Lord of the Ring is not just a fantasy, but it's an epic. The Hobbit is an epic. You know what I mean? Like these movies, like a movie like Kull, and I don't even think Conan. These movies are fantasy, but they're epics.
Mid-budget. Yeah.
Right. Do you think that a fantasy movie gets more kind of going for it, or gets more recognition because they're more epic like, and because they are grandiose? You have to explain the universe in a fantasy world. Like even like Harry Potter, even though it's kind of like in real time, it is a fantasy. That whole thing is like an epic. It's an epic saga. Do you think that has to be part and parcel with a fantasy?
It's tough, especially with Harry Potter. I think you can still do an Horrors TV show. I'd love to see something that's like
that's
that.
All inclusive. Like that's because the original IP
but they
is
built
so
it
big.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I can see like Hercules or Xena and stuff like that were TV shows where you had so much time to build it up, and work can't be an Army of Darkness.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Like Jason and the Argonauts was great. Or even, what was it? Clash of the Titans.
I was just going to say that the new ones, Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans.
Right.
Like, what'd you think of those? I mean,
I hated them.
Oh, but you don't think that works because those aren't really, they're epics in terms of the worlds that they're creating.
Right.
But they're really just kind of one-offs. Like Clash was a one-off, Wrath was a one-off. They never really did a third one. So
right. I think that, but those are still kind of trying to be epics. Those are still trying to be big budget movies.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like Jason and the Argonauts back in the day was huge.
Yeah.
And it mostly took place on a boat, and it was basically kind of like the Odyssey. Those movies, I really can't see you making them anymore.
I got you. Well, I mean, don't never say never.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of fantasy, although my middle name is Jason because of Jason and the Argonauts.
So I'm going to leave you with one last note, and then we're going to get to where you can find us.
Gotcha.
The Finnish word for penis resembles kull, so they had to change the name of the movie in Finland to Kull. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So he was a big dick. All right. So go ahead. Where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. You can also find us on the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We post every day. We have fun commercials every Thursday. You can also email us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast@gmail.com, ForgottenCinemapod@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of Kull. Let us know what movies.
Let Butler know what you think of Kull. I don't care.
Well, either way, we do this. We like to talk about movies. You can also recommend movies to us. Put it on the
Sure.
list.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had people reach out to us and said, giving us comments about certain episodes. Remember, our episodes are also on YouTube. So a week after this, so right now, the Kull episode's out now for on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to it. On YouTube, the last week's episode is available. So it's a kind of a week after. So there are episodes on YouTube as well. If you just want to put on YouTube while you're at work and show people, hey, look, these guys are pretty good. I know. I don't like Kull either, but Phil tells Butler what's what. So join us next week when we're actually going to do a good movie. We're doing another movie from 1997.
Why are we doing each of our movies back to back have been so close together now?
I don't know.
2002, 2003,
because we're just picking movies based upon the
I know we
should
have spread it a little.
Well, you know what though? Maybe they need something from 97 to tell them that 97 was actually a good year. We're doing the Kurt Russell, JT Walsh movie Breakdown. It's a really good movie. I like it. I still like it. Butler will like it, and if he doesn't, I don't know.
I've never seen it, but it's got Kurt Russell in it. So
that's great.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
You'll like it.
It's got Kurt Russell. I don't think I won't like it.
There you go. So that's next week. Breakdown. I'd like to apologize to everybody for this Kull episode. I apologize that Butler picked it. I'll try to be better in terms of vetting his picks next time. You got anything?
You picked Palmetto.
Listen, that was a mistake. And first of all, I know that I mistook that for another movie. So yeah.
But did you figure out what movie it was yet?
Yeah, I think it was The Tailor of Panama. I think that was what I was thinking of.
It's okay.
Yeah. But I don't even know if I put that on the list.
I put it on the list while we were editing the episode.
Right. I think that's what it was. Yeah. So listen, I don't need to apologize for that because there was some stuff in there. There was actual filmmaking going on in Palmetto.
I think Palmetto was far worse.
Oh, no.
Because at least Kull is like, all right, that's terrible, ridiculous. Palmetto.
No. That is a ridiculous. I can't believe you just said that. This might be the worst movie we've ever. No. Season 5 has the worst movie we've ever covered. I apologize. I'm going to take that back. I'm going to walk that back. All right, if you've listened to our episodes, you could probably figure out which one that was. All right, everyone. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
It's great.